Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I wanted to tell you a little story. One of the more common questions that I get on this channel, mainly in the comments, quite often I am asked what my opinion is on this digital asset or that digital asset, and usually I don't weigh in. And the truth is that I think many of these digital assets will do well, and I think that many of them have great technology, and I think many of them have great potential. But I only speak about XRP pretty much on this channel for many reasons, but the overall reason, of course, is that I believe XRP is the one. But being asked that question reminds me, and keep in mind when I tell you this, I am someone who at times I've held various digital assets, but I over time have sold all mine and just bought. All I have is XRP now, and it'll remain that way. But it reminds me when people ask me about if I invest in others or what I think about this one or what I think about that one, it reminds me of a story that I heard when I was growing up, and it was from a book that was written. But I wanted to tell you that story today because I think that I know for a fact that this story has made impressions on millions of people. And this generation today, many of you have probably never heard this story. So I'm going to tell it to you real quick, and then I'm going to show you. It's really a parable, and then I'm going to show you how it applies to XRP and what I believe about it. Back in the 1800s and 1900s, there was a guy, and his name was Russell Herman Conwell. And he was an American Baptist minister. He was an orator and a philanthropist, and also a lawyer and a writer. He was inspired. He went on a trip to the Middle East, and it was in 1869. And he was told a parable by a guide when he was there. And what Mr. Conwell did, is he created a lecture series from the parable that he was told, and he called his lecture "Acres of Diamonds." He first gave the speech and did this lecture at a reunion in 1913. Since that time, he delivered the lecture over 6,152 times, and then he did so well with it and used much of the proceeds and went on to found Temple University. He's the actual founder of Temple University, which is a pretty interesting fact. But I want to tell you the story about Acres of Diamonds. And it starts with a farmer, and I believe I'm saying this right. His name was Al Hafed, and he lived on the banks of the River Indus. And he had a farm, and on this farm he had orchards, gardens. He had plenty of cash because he had done well with the farm. And he had a beautiful wife, and he had children. And one day, an old priest visited him one night and told him, the priest was telling him how the world was made. And he was telling him about the formation of rocks and the earth. And he was telling him about precious metals and stones. And this priest told the farmer that if he had a few diamonds, just a few diamonds, that he could have many farms and not just one. He was telling him about the wealth of these diamonds. And the farmer listened to this, and he decided that he was going to sell his farm, and he was going to go in search of these diamonds. So for the next few years, he searched in Persia, he searched in Palestine, and then on into Europe. And in those years, he never had any success finding any diamonds. And then a few years later, he was broke, completely broke, and he was wandering around and had complete rags on, and he was a broken man, and he eventually was so upset and despondent that he threw himself into the ocean and killed himself. The story goes on to say that meanwhile, back at the farm, the man who had bought the farm was watering his animals in the stream that went through the property, the original farm that the farmer had. And while this guy is in the stream, he looks down in the sand, and he notices a glint in the sand. And he came to find out that it was a diamond. So he found this diamond in the stream, and then later he began to discover more diamonds. And what ended up happening is that this became an actual diamond mine. It was called the Mines of Golconda, and it became known. It would yield acres. It would yield acres of diamonds. Now, that story was summarized by a guy I've mentioned on here before. His name was Earl Nightingale. He was really a motivational speaker before there were motivational speakers. But he summarized, I'm going to quote him because he summarized the moral of this story better than I think I could. And so I wanted to read this to you. He says, "The thing about this story that has so profoundly affected millions of people is the idea that each of us is, at this very moment, standing in the middle of our own acres of diamonds. Before you go off running to what you think are greener pastures, make sure that your own is not just as green or perhaps even greener." And so I tell you that story, and now I want to relate that story to XRP and Ripple and the current state of the digital asset market. You've got a choice. You've got a choice really of thousands of digital assets that you could that would be your diamond mine. And I believe that there is no contest. I've said this before. There's no contest between Ripple, XRP, and any of these digital assets. And I challenge you, those of you that are looking at XRP versus anything else, I challenge you, if you've not done so already, study it. Go to CoinMarketCap and go down this list and go line by line on each one of these digital assets, and you'll come to the same conclusion that I have. XRP it's not even a question, but I'm not just going to leave it at that. I'm going to go and I'm going to show you why. XRP is far and away better than any of them, and so let's go through it. First, I want you to study the leadership. Don't just study the leadership of Ripple. Study the leadership of all of these different digital assets. If there is any leadership, some of them don't have any leadership. The people with Ripple are some of the most professional people that you will see in any company that you would study. But it's not just that. This is a couple of people from their board of directors. Look at the connections that are involved. This Ben Lawsky, he was the chief of staff for Governor Andrew Cuomo. This lady right here was a founding partner in Rice Hadley Gates with Condoleezza Rice. You all know who she is. So it's very important to if you can imagine how these type of connections will help Ripple as we go along. Look at the investors. Some of the largest companies in the world, their venture funds are investing in Ripple. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Then look at the technology. The technology of XRP. This is just a chart comparison to Bitcoin, and there's no comparison. 4 hours to settle in Bitcoin, 4 seconds in XRP. The fees, $5 a transaction Bitcoin, $0.0004 a transaction for XRP. 16 transactions per second Bitcoin, 1,500 per second with XRP. And it goes on and on. And here's the growing global network of companies that are actually using an existing product with Ripple. They're using a product. Just about every digital asset that you can find in the list does not even have a product, much less have companies that are actually piloting and using the product and coming out and saying they're going to go live with the product and go live with the next version XRapid of the product. And go to this right here, gtgox.com/partners of Ripple, and you'll get a more thorough list of the partners. There's not one digital asset in the entire space that has as many partners as Ripple, period. And then go to Ripple's product page. Ripple has a product. It's got 3 products. Go look at the other digital assets and see what products they have. Most of them have no products. I can't show you a slide of it, but speaking of products, Ripple has had a 5-year head start on any of these companies to go through the development of products. Most of these companies are just getting started with a dream. Ripple has Xspring, which is basically an incubator to create companies that will use XRP in a use case. Tell me a digital asset that has an incubator that is going to do nothing but put out different companies that use their digital asset. Ripple has a smart contract platform, just like Ethereum, but probably better in my opinion. Ripple also has a charity. They've set up different ways to fund charities that they care about. What other digital asset has given anything to charities? And if they have, Ripple seems to have a plan where they give to charities on a certain basis every now and then. I haven't seen anybody doing this. Ripple has a community. Look around at Ripple has Ripple the company may not have put this out, but it's been put together by the Ripple community. And then you can go and you can look there's blog posts like every day on here about Ripple. And then finally, this is Hoder, who is one of the contributors to the Ripple blog community. But I wanted to show this because this is how organized, and what's interesting is it's taken on a life of its own. This is not coming from Ripple the company. We've got a really great group of smart people that have organized this community from the grassroots. In fact, this article right here was today that I saw from Hoder, where he outlines different ways that you can promote XRP and tells about some people that are doing it. In fact, he mentioned me in here. Jungle Inc., Alex Cobb, CKG Crypto News, Digital Asset Investor, Crypto Airy, Love for Crypto, Esoteric Trading Solutions, Kung Fu Nerd, Dre Ventures. But they go through all of this, and then he shows different ways that you might be able to help. But I encourage you, back to this list. Don't take my word for it. Go through CoinMarketCap, and if you can find any company in this list or any that represents any digital asset, and if you can find one who not only who is even close, but is anywhere in the vicinity of what Ripple has going on, I would love to hear about it, because it's not going to happen. So my point in making this video is that you, as an XRP holder, if you are an XRP holder, are literally standing in the middle of your own acres of diamonds. And so don't until you've fully looked at what you own, in my opinion, don't go off unless you're going to look and actually do the research, and it's all going to bring you right back to your current acres of diamonds. So thank you for listening. And listen, I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. And I want you to please subscribe and hit the like button and send this around to your friends if you would. Also, yes, Coinbase custody has solved the custody issue so that institutions can keep their digital assets safe. But for the rest of us, the safest way is to get a Ledger Nano S. Go in the description of my video and you can get your Ledger Nano S. It'll take you straight to the company, and you need to get one if you want to keep your digital assets safe. Also, you can get, if you want Ripple shirts or any kind of cryptocurrency merchandise, you can go, I've got a store for that too. And if you look in my description, there's a code where you can get 20% off anything you buy. Well, thank y'all for listening, and I will be back maybe tomorrow. Thanks.